Today I'm going to show you how to make this amazing strawberry cake. It's topped with a crown of beautiful buttercream roses and tiny little baby strawberries, but on the inside it is so moist and delicious you're going to lose your mind. If you like my videos, don't forget to hit that like button. Okay, let's get started. We're starting the batter by sifting our dry ingredients, beginning with 1 2/3 cups of all-purpose flour, 1.5 cups of sugar, a teaspoon of baking powder, a heaping 1/4 teaspoon of baking soda, a healthy pinch of salt, and let's sift. Let's give that a quick whisk. Now it's time to mix up all those wet ingredients, starting with a 1/4 cup of warm whole milk. It's really best to use warm or at least room temperature ingredients when you bake a cake because you don't want to put ice cold things into the oven. 1/2 cup of sour cream. If you don't have sour cream available, feel free to substitute whole milk yogurt and it'll be totally fine. 3/4 cup of partially melted butter, unsalted of course. 1 tablespoon of vanilla extract. And now I'm going to add 3 egg whites. Save the yolk so you can make a custard or a curd with them. It will be delicious. You could use whole eggs in this recipe, but they will discolor the cake a bit, and I want it to be a brighter pink and not so yellow of a pink. This is optional, but I'm going to be zesting in 1 lemon or most of it because the zest of a lemon really brings a zinginess to the strawberry, and I just think that lemon and strawberry is the perfect combo. Finally, I have a little bit over a 1/4 cup of warm strawberry preserves here, and I will be straining them so I have less whole strawberry pieces and seeds in the finished cake. Just use a spatula to push the jam through the strainer. Preserves are all in, and now I'm going to give this a whisk just to make sure everything's incorporated and well distributed. Oh, amazing. Okay. Add the wet to the dry and then mix a little bit more. So I'm adding just a little bit of pink food coloring in. I want a nice believable shade. It doesn't have to be that natural. I always like to use a toothpick to control the amount of color I add because you want to add as little as possible, and you can add a couple times if it's not bright enough, but taking away color is much more difficult. Okay, perfect. Now we're going to prep our pans and get to baking. To prep my pans, I like to add a little bit of butter and a little bit of flour, and that's it. You don't need anything else. All right, take a tablespoon of flour and toss it in, then kick it around. This batter matches my shirt perfectly. What a coincidence. Okay, now it's time to distribute the batter evenly into the 3 pans. I like to eyeball it at first, and then I pop them onto a scale and weigh them out. Now we add on our cake strips. Cake strips give you nice flat layers. You can click up here for my how to make and use cake strips video. So handy, I love them. All you do, wet them in water, apply them to your pan, add them into the oven. You might have to add on a minute or 2 or 3 or 4 if you're using bake strips because it slows the cooking down. Just FYI. Into the oven at 350 for about half an hour-ish. You know the cakes are done when the centers are set and the edges are pulling away from the pan. You can also use a toothpick, use your finger for the spring test, many different options. For this cake, I'm mixing up a good old batch of American buttercream, and I'm gonna flavor some of it with strawberry, some of it with lemon, and some of it with just vanilla. We'll have a couple different flavors in there, and I'll also be using some of it for the buttercream flowers I'll be piping on top. Okay, first step is to cream your butter. I'm gonna do a pound of unsalted butter at room temperature into my standing mixer, which I'll fit with a paddle attachment. All right, mix on low just to cream it, and we're using a paddle attachment so we don't whip too much air into the butter. We don't want to have an airy buttercream because that makes it more difficult to pipe and decorate with. Our butter is all creamy and nice. We're going to be sifting in 2 pounds of confectioner sugar in maybe 3 to 4 batches so we don't overwhelm ourselves with a cloud of sugar. Sifter back on. The reason that we're sifting the confectioner sugar is you want to make sure there's no little clumps that are going to be clogging your piping tip. I'm saying it slow because it's really important. When you pipe buttercream roses or any kind of flower, any kind of lump will clog that narrow end of the tip where the beautiful flower petal is ending, and it'll be very frustrating because you have to start all over. Okay. And let's sift. First batch sifted, let's add this back onto our standing mixer and mix on low. Make sure to cover with a tea towel so you don't expose yourself to all that sugar dust. Time for batch 2, and we'll be repeating the process until all that sugar is in this bowl. Okay, our buttercream is all done, and it's time to separate it into a couple batches to flavor it. It's pretty thick right now, but one batch will get some vanilla extract, one batch will get some strawberry preserves, also strained, and the third batch will get a little bit of lemon juice and maybe a touch of zest. Okay, time to separate this batch up. I'm separating out about a cup of buttercream for 2 separate batches. One batch will be strawberry and a little pink, one batch will be lemon and a little yellow, and the third batch is vanilla and it's gonna stay white. I'm taking maybe about a tablespoon of preserves, and you can eyeball this part. You don't have to use exact measurements. You could also make a strawberry reduction if you want to go extra fresh. Okay, now I'm just going to mix this by hand. I'm adding another tablespoon of strawberry preserves because I'm not feeling the strawberry flavor yet. I love this blush color, but I'm going to add in just a tiny little bit of food coloring to amp it up just a little bit, like not even a drop. Coat the toothpick a little bit and then swipe it. You'll be shocked by how much color comes out of that. For my lemon buttercream, I'm adding in a squeeze of lemon juice. I love lemon in everything. To give a visual cue that this is lemon flavored buttercream, I'm gonna add in just a drop of yellow food coloring. Such a cheerful, sunny yellow, I love it. Add your strawberry buttercream into one piping bag. That's one down. Love this lemon color. Okay, normally when I'm doing 2-tone or 3-tone colored swirls, I would just add one color into a piping bag, another color into a piping bag, snip the tip off of it, and then add it into a third bag, which I might even add a large round tip to. But today I'm using a kit, and this lets you do 3 colors. So you just pop this in here, screw on another tip, and now you can do a 2-tone with perfect precision. So either way, you get the same result. Normally I would dye my roses a very, very soft pink, but today we're going bold. So I'm going to use a good dollop of red and crimson. Crimson's going to be like an even richer, blacker red. Just add food coloring until you reach the desired hue. It doesn't have to be as vivid as mine, but I really liked the way these red roses matched the red strawberries. I reserved about 1/3 of a cup of buttercream and then folded in some more powdered sugar, so it reached the consistency of almost like a thick Play-Doh. This will be the base of your flower, and you're going to shape it into a cone with your fingers and plop it onto a square of parchment paper. On top of the cone, you'll give a couple dollops of yellow buttercream for the anthers and stamens of the flower. I'm using a 104 tip to pipe the petals, and I'm starting with a spiral in the center. And after it goes a couple revolutions, I'll start piping some small arcs for the petals. Overlap them a bit, and if something's flying away, use your finger or a toothpick to tamp it down. As you reach the outside of the rose, the arcs will become larger and fan out a little bit. You're going to repeat this process, and feel free to make some large roses, some buds, open, closed, totally up to you.
So as you're working on your roses, go ahead and transfer them either to the fridge or freezer to set up, and that way you can handle them and not worry about them getting smushed. I'm piping my yellow and pink buttercream onto the first layer in a spiral. Pipe your swirl of yellow and pink buttercream onto the first layer. Place the second layer on top, repeat the process. Use the remaining buttercream to fill in the gaps between the cake layers and then give it a smooth with your bench scraper. At this point, it's a good idea to cover your cake and transfer it to a fridge just to set and chill. Give it 20 minutes, otherwise it'll be a little bit wobbly. After the cake is firmed up, you can pipe the remaining vanilla buttercream all over. You're gonna give it a kind of thick coating and then use your bench scraper to smooth the sides and your offset spatula to smooth the top. Smoothing the top corner of the cake, just use your clean offset spatula and pull in while you turn. Make sure to clean the spatula between each swipe. After the cake's all smoothed out, go ahead and chill the cake one more time. You don't have to, but it's gonna be really helpful. After the cake chills, pipe a ring of buttercream on the top edge of the cake. This will give you some height for the roses and strawberries, and it's also gonna act like glue because it's still soft, unlike the rest of the cake. Now it's time to add the strawberries and roses, and you can use a pair of scissors to place the roses on, but behind the scenes, I just cut the bases off of each rose and place it on with my fingers. It's the easiest way to have the most control.
Okay, that cake was really fun to make. I got out of my comfort zone just a little bit because normally I'm all about that pastel life, but today it was red roses and I loved it. They're so dramatic. And they match the baby strawberries so beautifully. I think they're called seascape strawberries, by the way. They're very seasonal and super duper flavorful. It's pretty insane. Now it's time for the moment of truth, but before I start chewing this, I wanted to say if you have any questions, leave them in the comments below, hit that like button, and don't forget to subscribe. It's so good, so zingy. And it melted in my mouth. It's already gone.